They were afraid that maybe they might be chosen to be, put under the microscope by McCarthyism. So I thought, what the hell, change my name.
Behind Charles Bronson's tough appearance were surprising secrets, now revealed by his daughter, confirming our suspicions. Bronson was known for his roles as stern characters, which led people to view him as proud and sometimes hostile. Yet, a long-standing controversial rumor about him remained, whose truth was hidden until now. Stay tuned as we expose the real story, confirmed by his daughter. A rough start. Before we explore these revelations, let's understand what shaped Charles into the man he was. Bronson faced a difficult upbringing, which influenced his later life. Born on November 3, 1921, in Scooptown, part of Ehrenfeld, Pennsylvania, a coal mining area, his real name was Charles Bukinski. He was the 11th of 15 children to Lithuanian immigrant parents. His father died when he was just 10 from lung disease due to years of mining work. Charles and his family had a hard life, struggling to make ends meet. At just 6 years old, Charles experienced poverty so severe that his family couldn't afford new clothes for him, and he wore a dress handed down from his sisters to school. Imagine that. Fast forward to age 16, Charles was mining coal, earning $1 for every ton he mined. It was tough, and he remembered it bitterly. Those 6 years left him with calloused hands and lasting scars on his body. The endless hours in dark, tight tunnels caused him constant headaches and a fear of small spaces. "The smell of coal still clings to me," he would often reflect on those tough times. Then, in 1943, he was drafted into the Army. Over time, the story got twisted. People later said he was a tail gunner in World War II, but in reality, a diligent journalist discovered that Bronson had trained as a gunner in Arizona and spent his military days driving a delivery truck. After the war, Bronson didn't settle on one career. He tried various jobs, laying bricks, cooking in a diner, and picking onions in New York. He then moved to Atlantic City, where he rented out beach chairs on the boardwalk. Fate intervened when he met some actors from Philadelphia on vacation. He persuaded them to check out his painting skills for their stage sets. Impressed, they not only hired him, but also gave him a shot at acting. Bronson, initially a painter, discovered his love for acting. In 1949, he moved to California and enrolled in acting classes at the Pasadena Playhouse. There, the young Mr. Bronson, at 27, met 18-year-old aspiring actress Harriet Tendler. They married that same year. He began getting minor roles in films, playing rugged characters, construction workers, and scrappy fighters. But Mr. Bronson didn't fit the typical hero mold of his era, like the charming Cary Grant. He joked that his voice made him sound more like a miner than a movie star. Early in his Hollywood career, he wasn't well known and used the name Charles Bukinski. However, in 1954, after starring in Drumbeat with Alan Ladd, he changed his name to Charles Bronson amid fears of communism stirred by Senator Joseph R. McCarthy to avoid any association with his Russian-sounding last name. He wasn't always in big-budget films, though. One of his early roles was in the low-budget Machine Gun Kelly, filmed in just 8 days in 1958. A renowned French actor, Alain Delon, saw it and liked it so much he invited Bronson to France. There, he starred in Adieu l'ami, which became very popular across Europe. Personal life reflections. Before revealing what his daughter shared, let's discuss a role that mirrored his real life. In 1963, he played Flight Lieutenant Danny "Tunnel King" Valinsky in The Great Escape, a character skilled in tunneling out of POW camps, which ironically made him feel claustrophobic. Interestingly, Bronson could relate due to his past experiences in mining and military service, both of which left him uneasy in confined spaces. Marriage challenges. Despite his stoic facade, filming the tunnel scenes was quite tough for him. However, he persevered, and during the shoot of The Great Escape, he fell deeply for actress Jill Ireland, who was married to David McCallum at the time. Initially joking with McCallum about marrying his wife, Bronson actually did marry Ireland after his first marriage to Harriet ended in divorce in 1965. By the time he married Ireland in 1968, he was already well recognized. Even if the scripts weren't always exceptional, most agreed that Bronson always delivered strong performances. His fans worldwide, especially in Japan, France, and Italy, adored him. In Italy, they nicknamed him Il Bruto, the tough one. Ireland saw beyond his rugged exterior, drawn to his blend of gentleness and strength. Synonymous with toughness. Bronson was tough not just on screen, but also had a reputation for being formidable in real life. People said his face showed a history of hard times. In his youth, he was known for his fights, and once even broke a sergeant's arm in a scuffle. On one occasion, he confronted a director over a scene, which ended with the director gasping for breath. Thus, when Michael Gordon Peterson, Britain's most infamous prisoner, needed a new identity in 1987, he chose Charles Bronson, a name with significant weight. When Esquire magazine quoted Bronson claiming he'd confront anyone threatening his family, it caused a stir. Johnny Carson, the famous TV host, questioned him about it, and Bronson responded plainly, "Because that's what I said." Media relations. Bronson wasn't close with the press. He found their questions too intrusive, and he wasn't a fan of film critics either. He believed they didn't even pay to watch the movies they critiqued. Roger Ebert, a notable critic, once interviewed him and sensed something intense in Bronson's eyes, suggesting a readiness to confront those who annoyed him. Bronson was forthright. He clashed with Nicholas Gessner, the director of a film they worked on, criticizing him openly and even joking about violent incidents off-screen, which he brushed off with humor. Ireland, his wife, was aware of his fiery temper and often joked about it on TV. Off-screen confrontations. Bronson didn't shy away from disagreements with directors, often finding them hard to work with, which he dismissed as Hollywood nonsense. His reputation for being hot-headed on set was well known. Directors who worked with him often recounted amusing stories about their interactions with the tough actor. Don Siegel, who directed Telephone, shared a funny episode where actress Lee Remick was afraid to touch Bronson's face during a scene, worried he might react badly. In Walter Hill's Hard Times, Bronson portrayed a rugged fighter during the Great Depression alongside his wife, Ireland. Hill noted Bronson's impressive fitness, though his endurance was hampered by his smoking. Some tension arose over how Ireland's scenes were edited, but Hill and Bronson eventually made up, highlighting Bronson's unpredictable nature. Encounters with Sean Penn and Billy Crystal. Sean Penn, who directed Bronson in The Indian Runner, discovered Bronson's preferences for his character firsthand. Bronson was reluctant to let his character die on screen, worried about disappointing his Italian fans. Billy Crystal also had an intriguing experience when he sent Bronson the script for City Slickers. Bronson, upset that his character died, reminded Crystal, "Charles Bronson doesn't die in movies," referring to his iconic role in the Death Wish series. Controversy over Death Wish. Death Wish stirred controversy around its vigilant theme. Director Michael Winner felt Bronson was perfect for the role of Paul Kersey, a man seeking revenge after a family tragedy. Bronson's intense presence seemed ideal for the part. The film depicts Kersey, a mild-mannered architect who becomes a vigilante after a violent crime against his family, taking to the streets with his gun to seek justice. Interestingly, a young Jeff Goldblum played one of the criminals. Before Bronson accepted the role, it was declined by notable actors like Clint Eastwood and even Frank Sinatra. Henry Fonda turned it down, deeming it completely objectionable. But Bronson was ready to dive in. Bronson, embodying his tough persona, reportedly said, "I'd be up for that." And when Winner inquired if he meant the film, Bronson's answer was definitive. "No, I'd actually like to shoot muggers." This might make one wonder if Bronson agreed with the film's controversial vigilante theme. His agent, Paul Kohner, certainly had reservations, cautioning him about the potential implications of endorsing vigilante justice. But Bronson stood by the film's message, which he saw as a caution against revenge, famously stating, "An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind." Death Wish's box office success. Death Wish premiered on July 24, 1974, costing $3.7 million to produce, but grossing a remarkable $22 million at the box office. The film was based on a 1972 book by Brian Garfield, who was not pleased with Bronson's casting, feeling it tipped the character towards inevitable violence. Garfield had initially hoped for the film to be directed by Sidney Lumet with Jack Lemmon as the vigilante, an interesting contrast to the final product. Director Michael Winner was dismissive of Garfield's book, bluntly critiquing it and emphasizing the gritty reality of the story's theme. Following the success of the original film, the franchise expanded to include 5 sequels released in 1974, 1982, 1985, 1987, and 1994, with Bronson reprising his role as Kersey in each. Garfield, however, was critical of the sequels, viewing them as mere showcases for Bronson's persona rather than substantive additions to the narrative. Ongoing controversies. The Death Wish series continued to be mired in controversy, particularly in light of real-world events. In 1984, Bernhard Goetz, dubbed the Subway Vigilante, shot 4 young men on a New York City subway, claiming self-defense. This incident drew comparisons to the film's theme of vigilantism. Michael Winner's comment on the situation was poorly received, as he quipped about the timing of Goetz's actions coinciding with a film release showcasing a lack of sensitivity. The conversation around Death Wish resurfaced in 2015 when Donald Trump, then a presidential candidate, referenced the film at a rally. He boasted about his readiness to use a gun if attacked, echoing the film's vigilante theme, which resonated with the crowd chanting Bronson's name. Trump's remarks highlighted the enduring cultural impact of the film, albeit amidst contentious debates about its message in contemporary society. The film about Bronson's life, released after his retirement from the iconic Death Wish series with Family of Cops in 1994, did not meet expectations. Despite his withdrawal from leading roles, Bronson continued to influence popular culture through television movies like A Family of Cops. His on-screen characters were often reflective of his real-life persona, stoic and resolute, letting his actions speak louder than words. This trait was not just part of his acting but was deeply ingrained in his personality, as he was known for his reticence and a preference for privacy, to the extent that he seldom watched his own films. Myth and reality. Bronson's legacy is also colored by the tales he told about his life, often blurring the lines between reality and fiction. He regaled listeners with stories of off-screen violence and adventures, such as fights and expert knife throwing. But these anecdotes were largely embellishments to enhance his rugged image. Despite these tales, he was never incarcerated, and those who knew him personally often spoke of a man quite unlike the hardened characters he portrayed, suggesting that his public persona was partly a theatrical extension of his roles. Additionally, Bronson was known for his peculiar habit of avoiding handshakes, not out of arrogance, but due to a fear of germs, possibly hinting at obsessive-compulsive tendencies. His caution extended to a fear of fire, influencing his personal and professional life to the extent that he insisted on staying in low-rise hotel rooms during shoots to ensure a safe escape in case of fire. Contrasts and contradictions. Despite his tough guy roles, Bronson's life off-screen was marked by contrasts and contradictions. He was an avid painter and sculptor, pursuits that revealed his softer side, often overshadowed by his cinematic identity. He insisted on discussing his art more than his acting in interviews and preferred selling his artwork under his birth name Bukinski to separate his artistic identity from his Hollywood fame. His artwork, much like his acting, found appreciation based solely on its merit, rather than his celebrity. A touching anecdote involving young actor Kurt Russell illustrates a different facet of Bronson's character. Russell, who was just 12 at the time, surprised Bronson with a remote-controlled airplane on his birthday, receiving a seemingly cold response. However, Bronson reciprocated months later on Russell's birthday with a high-end skateboard, a gesture of kindness that also saw Bronson defending Russell's right to skateboard on studio premises, directly challenging a security guard's objection. This incident underscores Bronson's protective and supportive nature, aspects of his personality that were less visible to the public. Enduring legacy amid personal loss. Bronson's later years were marked by personal challenges, including the death of his second wife, Jill Ireland, 8 years after their marriage, a loss that deeply affected him. He found companionship with Kim Michelle Weeks, a younger actress who supported him through his final years. Bronson faced significant health issues later in life, including the need for hip replacement surgery, ultimately leading him to retire from acting. He died in 2003 at the age of 81 from respiratory failure and lung cancer, leaving behind a complex legacy that intertwined his cinematic impact with his personal vulnerabilities. Bronson had several children, among them Zuleika Bronson, Tony Bronson, Suzanne Bronson, and Katrina Holden Bronson. In a revealing twist, Katrina disclosed that she was adopted, not Bronson's biological daughter, though she too carved out a career in film directing, continuing aspects of her father's artistic legacy. Bronson's financial acumen was evident in his careful management of his finances, accruing substantial wealth estimated at around $75 million, encompassing diverse assets from luxurious properties to rustic farms. Among his possessions, a painting titled Scoop Town, held by his first wife Harriet, remained a cherished memento, symbolizing his humble beginnings and the enduring memories of his early life. Bronson's story serves as a poignant reminder that behind a public figure's facade lies a spectrum of human emotions and experiences. His life invites us to reflect on the legacy we wish to leave and the values we cherish, prompting discussions on the interplay between public perception and personal reality. What did you find most surprising or insightful about this deep dive into the hidden layers of Charles Bronson? Share your thoughts by commenting below. If you enjoyed this video, we think you'll like one of these that's on your screen now. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks for watching.